Good evening. I would like to call this meeting of the Southbridge School Committee to order on Tuesday, May 13th at 7 p.m. in Council Chambers. We'll go ahead and do we will go ahead and do roll call. Brittany Davison.
Present.
Carla De La Cruz Davila.
Present.
Frank Kepinski.
Present.
Martina Shea.
Present.
And Norma Tisnick.
Present.
And Maria Torres.
Present.
All right, everybody is present. Agenda item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to, I'd like to make a motion to add the agenda item to move to approve the school committee meeting minutes from Tuesday, April 8th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous of all present. So the added agenda item is to review and approve the meeting minutes from Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'd like to make a correction.
Okay, we can discuss that after a motion has been made. There's a discussion portion. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Do I have a second? I have both. Any discussion or corrections?
Yes, I have a correction. On the last page, under where it says discussion of progress meeting expectations, can we just specify that that first bullet point was Norma who asked that question?
You said this is on the last page?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I thought it was on the last page. Oh, disregard then.
If there's a correction to be made, we want to make sure it's right.
Yeah, but now, when I reviewed it earlier, there was a correction, but now I can't find it. There was a question that Norma had asked, but I don't think specified that she had asked it. Does it specify it as you? No, it's there, so disregard.
Okay. Do I have any other corrections or additions? All of those in favor? Any opposed? It is unanimous of all present. Moving on to the next agenda item, receiver introduction. I will go ahead and turn it over to the new interim superintendent receiver, Mr. William Metzger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the members, thank you for inviting me tonight to share a little bit about myself, which I'll be happy to do. Again, my name is Bill Metzger. I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, born and raised. I grew up, for those familiar with Springfield, near the X neighborhood. I went to Springfield Public Schools. Up until high school, I was lucky enough, I was awarded a scholarship and was able to attend a private high school. I grew up in a single-parent household. My parents were divorced. And I had one sibling. We had a nice childhood, but it was a difficult one. I did have a parent that had serious issues with drug and alcohol dependence. Unfortunately, my brother also developed some issues with drug and alcohol dependence and passed away very, very young. And I share that with the committee and with the general public because I look back and I think, what was the difference for the two of us? And I have to say, I think it really comes down to some of the outstanding teachers I had in my life that saw something in me that I didn't see inside of myself, and I found really inspired me to take up this life's work. My mother was also a teacher. I watched her balance, running a household, raising two boys, and always being available and present for her students. It was not unusual to have her grading papers, lesson planning, on the phone, talking with her colleagues about kids they were concerned about. And I learned a lot from her, and I'm inspired by her also. I'm surrounded by educators. I was a teacher myself. My mom was a teacher. Her mother was a teacher, retired from the Springfield Public Schools. My wife is an educator. She was a classroom teacher, is now a school psychologist. My mother-in-law is a teacher, she's retired. It's very much a family business. And I have 4 children of my own, 2 boys, Liam and Noah, and 2 girls, Veronica and Violet. They all attend the public schools in our community. I won't embarrass them by telling you who is who, but they are 4 very different kids. And I share that with you fine folks in the community because their experience in school is very different. I have been at suspension hearings for my own children. I have been at IEP and 504 meetings for some of my children. I've been at enrichment and honors celebrations for some of my children. So I feel like I have experienced schooling, public schooling, through the lens of a parent in 4 very different ways. And it really does inform me in my approach to the work. From my earliest days as a classroom teacher, when I just had one little guy at home, and moving up through the ranks as an assistant principal, tasked with discipline among other things, and a building leader, I always kept in my mind, what would I want this to look like for my kids? What do I want my kids' schools to look like? What do I want my kids' classrooms to look like? How do I want them to feel? And I keep that in the forefront of my mind and in my decision-making process at all times. And I've been in tough meetings and had tough conversations and have come away frustrated sometimes, come away satisfied sometimes, always resolving to continue communicating and working with the educators. Some of my core beliefs, based on my experience as a parent and an educator, and as a kid who I think, quite seriously and literally, that had teachers save my life. Every student can and should learn every day, right? We all make mistakes. The students make mistakes. The adults make mistakes. I certainly make mistakes. It's not that we make mistakes, it's what do we learn from the mistakes that we make, and how do we, move forward in a positive way? How do we resolve to do better when we find ourselves in that situation again? And how would we help others understand, right, when they're going through a mistake that they've made? I think our number one priority as educators, more important than the standardized testing, more important than graduation, more important than athletic contests, is we have to make our schools safe, right? And safety to me means a couple different things. Certainly physical safety and security is of the utmost importance, right? But our teachers and our kids need to also feel safe to take risks in the classroom, to make connections, to try and fall short and try again, right? And I believe it is incumbent on district leadership and building-based leadership to foster an environment in which students and teachers feel safe to take risks, to try new things, and at times to fail. I've also learned that saying nothing is saying that it's okay. I think we need to all lean into a process, a cycle of constant self-reflection and self-improvement, right? We should never be satisfied with the results. I think the number one most important job we have in a society is to educate the future generation, right? And it's a charge I take, very seriously. And sometimes that involves difficult conversations with kids, with families, with teachers, with all 3 groups, and the community at large. And you will find in me somebody that Will make mistakes. I like to think I also will raise my hand and say, I didn't get that one right, and we'll resolve to keep coming back and trying to work through issues. I do believe that reasonable minds can disagree. I also believe that, the hallmark of compromise is all of the parties come away feeling satisfied with the outcome, but everybody feels like maybe they left a little something on the table, right? They could have gotten maybe something a little bit more had they not had to, broker a compromise to move forward. As a young person, work was not optional from a pretty young age, and I've done a variety of things. I think my first job was I delivered newspapers for the Union News and Sunday Republican. I've done a lot of interesting things. I was a lifeguard. I worked at a funeral home. I worked in a library, in a gas station. I rode the back of a garbage truck. I did a lot of things as a young person to make money. And it helped me learn the values of work and also some things I did not want to do as my career. After high school, I attended University of Massachusetts at Amherst. I majored in history. I thought I was going to pursue a career in the law. And right out of college, I actually got a job working at the state legislature in the House of Representatives and later on in the Senate, and began to attend law school. I was also dating a young woman at the time who I ended up marrying, who was a teacher and was very happy and fulfilled in her career. I was not so happy and fulfilled in my career. The elected official I worked for, however, had a requirement that everybody on her staff had to do some kind of volunteer work, and I chose junior achievement. I ended up going into local elementary schools and giving them lessons on government, and I found I really enjoyed it. I was in law school. It was not for me, and I thought, I'm going to take the teacher test one time, and if I pass it, I'm gonna take that as a sign to keep going. And I took the MTELs. I passed them, and I contacted the district that became my first job in education. I'd helped them write some grants, and I called and asked for a recommendation. And the superintendent's office called me about an hour later and said, if you're really serious about this, come in and talk. We'd like to talk to you. And I ended up accepting a job on the spot and began teaching social studies and English at Minnetonka Regional High School. And I loved it. I knew I'd found what I wanted to do. After a number of great years in the classroom, the principal approached me and asked if I'd considered being a school administrator. And I said, I hadn't. And he sold me on it. So I went back to school and got my master's degree in school administration from American International College, and began to work my way up the food chain, so to speak. I ended up as an assistant principal in the Southwick Tolland regional schools. Great job. I enjoyed it very much. I was also on the building committee there as they were going through a new building project. And as fate would have it, the Munson Public Schools reached out to me and offered me a job as a principal at Munson High School, which I did for a number of years and I enjoyed tremendously. I steered the school through a couple of different very challenging times, including the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, the community was faced with declining enrollment. We spearheaded some work in a grade level reconfiguration. I ended up taking on the 7th and 8th grade in the high school building also, and combining two faculties, a very rewarding but challenging experience. I learned a lot about teaching middle school age students and being their principal. And at times it was a steep learning curve, but I enjoyed the work tremendously. Munson was a great place, but I again thought it was time for another challenge in my career. The superintendent at the time was very much engaged in the work, and I didn't perceive was going to be leaving for some time. And I had some goals. Some people knew that I was interested in, central office work, and did connect me with the former receiver, Jeffrey Villar. And, over a series of conversations, I agreed to join his team as the Human Resource and Talent Development Manager. I joined the district about 3.5 years ago. I've enjoyed the work tremendously. I've seen real progress occur throughout the district over the last few years. And, kind of my portfolio of responsibilities continued to expand. I started to do some work on the school finances also, and, coming here to Town Hall and meeting people and establishing some great working relationships. Not perfect, and sometimes we had to work through, difficult stuff, quite frankly. And when I first joined the district, I wouldn't say there was a ton of communication between the municipal government side and the school governance side, and I'm very happy and proud to have made some inroads there. And, as you all aware, Dr. Villar left to pursue another opportunity a little time ago, and the commissioner's office did reach out to me, and we got into some talks, and I did agree to take on the role of interim receiver and superintendent. It's been a great honor. I'm about 2 weeks into the job, and again, there is a lot to learn. I've been with the district for some time, but not really in a forward-facing or public-facing role. So I welcome this opportunity to tell you all a little bit about myself and the community about me. Outreach, communication, and connection are very important to me. In the couple of weeks that I've been on the job, I have sat for an interview with a very good reporter for the school newspaper. I'm looking forward to the story coming out. I've set up and I'm going to embark on a listening tour in cooperation with the Southbridge Ed Association, the teacher and EA's union. That'll be taking place over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to go to each building and hear from the staff about, things they think that are going well and what their concerns are and what their suggestions are. I'm also conducting what is known as a SWOT analysis of the district. So I've created with the data team a document that's been distributed to building and district level administrators, where they answer questions about what they perceive to be strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the system, right? We're going to take a look at all of that data, talk about it, and do some action step planning when we convene at the end of the school year for a couple of days to go over the end of the school year data and to start to kind of chart the course and set the goals for the upcoming school year. Also, I've been in some talks with the department, and I'm going to ask you fine folks for some help. I would like to get out and hear from the community over the summer, again, in the vein of what is working, what is not working, how can we address the things that aren't working, forge a path forward together. Also enjoyed getting to know all of you guys. We talked a little bit in my former role, and we're going to be spending a lot more time together, I think. Looking forward to the Memorial Day recognition in town. Was honored to be invited. I'm happy to learn that several of you will join me. I want to be visible and accessible to the community, to the kids, and to the families. Some goals for the upcoming year. Going to continue working on the turnaround plan, of course. Look at the systems, structures, and staffing of the system. I think anytime there's a leadership change, it's an opportunity to have a fresh set of eyes on things, take stock of where we're at, what we're doing, and how we're doing it. I do believe in the mission of the schools, which is all students will experience a world-class education and will graduate as engaged citizens who demonstrate the essential skills required for success in college and career. We are working through the action steps, right? Step one, ensuring an inclusive and supportive school community with high expectations and rigorous, equitable, and personalized instruction for all students, including students with disabilities and English learners. Second point is developing a district-wide professional culture of highly effective teaching and leadership. Third is creating the conditions to enable and apply evidence-informed decision-making, utilizing multiple measures and data points. Establishing systems and processes to cultivate and leverage family engagement and community partnerships. The fifth step is organizing the district and reallocating resources to ensure high-quality management, accountability, system-wide coherence, and sustainability. I do believe the system has come a long way, certainly in my time, and I could point to anecdotal evidence and hard data that support those conclusions. We are certainly a far way still from where we truly aspire to be. And I hope to be engaged in the work here for a long time. Something that, I talked about with the Commissioner's office is, we are working on a process with you guys to transition the system back to local governance. And I know everybody's very anxious to meet the new Commissioner and ask him the million-dollar question of when. I have not met or spoken to the Commissioner yet, and I don't have those answers for you. But I do resolve to be here and engaged in the work and get you to the when and help with the how. And it's my hope, I'm a local guy. I don't live far from here. I don't aspire to go to New York or Philadelphia or Washington, D.C. or anything like that. This is somewhere I'd like to be for a long time, engaged in the work, either as the receiver or the superintendent. And I hope in time I will earn your trust and confidence to be able to stay here for a long time. That's me in a nutshell. I also have 2 dogs and a cat. I love all the Massachusetts sports teams. I watch probably the Patriots and the Celtics the most.
Celtics not good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was rough last night. But I'm a regular guy. I put my pants on one leg at a time, like everybody else. I think I do have a lot to offer, but I certainly don't think I have all the answers. So I look forward to continued collaboration and cooperation.
Thank you, Mr. Metzger. We appreciate you attending your first meeting in this role, and you have the open invitation. We even got you a nice shiny new name tag.
Thank you very much.
So you're more than welcome to be on the dais with us as we continue to move forward. Carla and I have met with Mr. Metzger a couple of times before, and we were also in attendance with the HS. I am looking forward to continuing the work, picking up where Dr. Villar left off and just continuing to move forward.
Thank you, me too.
Does anybody else have any comments for Mr.? We'll start with Ms. Dela Cruz Davila.
I just want to say thank you for that. I didn't know your history, so I really appreciate that. And I thought you did well in the EHS meeting. And no, I do really appreciate it, and I thank you for being here present. I think it's needed, and I think the community, when they see you here, they really appreciate that, and the fact that you're coming with us to the parade, I think that shows a lot. And I think that's what the community really needs, someone that's out there physically there, so that way if they want to come to you, they feel comfortable coming up to you and being present. So I just wanted to say, I'm sure everybody feels the same way, but for me personally, I want to say thank you, and I look forward to continuing working with you.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I would just like to second what Carla said.
All right. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 4, the future meeting agenda topics, visioning exercise. So essentially, typically, most school committees, when they operate with local governance, the superintendent or representatives of the district, depending on what topic is being discussed, will make a presentation to the school committee on a regular basis. So what this exercise is to essentially, we're going to try to outline what we want to see next year from the district. And, we'll kind of just open the floor for any ideas specifically. Obviously, we have 12 meetings. So we will try to just, throw out any and all ideas. And we can continue to work with them and potentially, make sure that we have the regular schedule. And the administration has plenty of time to prepare a detailed presentation for us moving forward. So I know, Mr. Metzger, you said you had some ideas?
Sure, I have some suggested topics. My experience in other places has been that the committee and the superintendent fall into, and the administrative leadership team of the district do fall into kind of a cadence year to year. So I do have some suggested topics and times of year to, kind of have them be a standing date. Like every year we know we're going to talk about X in September. So if you'd indulge me, I'll just throw out the suggestions, and ultimately it's your guys' decision. June, I think it's appropriate to discuss closing activities of the school year, graduation, step-up day, etc. July could be an update on what our summer planning is, and a hiring update, what we're looking at in terms of vacancies, how the professional development at the end of the school year informs the planning process over the summer. In August, an update on our new teacher institute, finalize the professional development plan for the upcoming year, and a hiring update. September, review of opening of school, where we would have hopefully some student artifacts and perhaps some students, and certainly some teachers and administrators to talk about their positive experiences with the opening of the school year. In October, so there's what we call in the field the October 1 report, which is we are required to submit our enrollment data for the year, multiple data points to the department. It's important because that informs some decision-making and policy decisions, including funding for the upcoming school year. We'll also have an idea of any challenges we may be dealing with over the course of the school year, such as unusually large proliferation of new, perhaps high-need special education students coming into the district that may cause us to reconsider how we allocate resources over the remainder of the school year. I was drawing a little bit of a blank for the winter months. And certainly March would be beginning of the budget update. April again would be, I think, a formal presentation of the budget, and finalizing that information for you folks. And those are some of my suggested topics.
All right. So I think the easiest way to do this is I'll go ahead and start with I will start over on this side, and I'm going to work my way over through for ideas as far as meeting topics. So, Ms. Shea, I'll start with you.
Are we working on this, or are we working on what we did?
Nope. So we are on agenda item number 4, which
Okay.
is the future meeting agenda topics, visioning exercise.
I'm going to grab Brittany's and say we need a lot of information on the special ed area, how our students are being served, especially since we just read about our collaborative school dropping one of their services. I don't know whether that affects our district, because it would affect the students that just happen to come through those years. So I would definitely like that, and I'm going to talk about doing some kind of job descriptions of various, one of the things that school committees are supposed to do is be made aware. They don't do the job description. The administrators and the staff do the job descriptions, but they are brought to the school committee. And we need to be, start to dig into some of the things that we have not dug into, so I would like that.
And I would just quickly, to answer your question, the closure of that particular program does not affect our students. We do our 18 to 22 program in-house.
Okay.
Mr. Kempinski?
I was just going to ask, I wasn't sure, I may have missed it, apologize. Have there been any new guidelines, perspectives since MCAS has been removed as one of our main goals? Is there a standardized substitution for those things, or is each school district responsible for their own?
Well, the department is working on finalizing some recommended courses of action around competency determination, particularly for students that have recently graduated or left the school system and had not passed the MCAS, and now that it's no longer a requirement, how do we go back and say, well, I mean, you met all of the other requirements as agreed upon between the department and the local system. We would love to have the opportunity to confer a diploma on you. Not finalized yet to my knowledge, but certainly an update that I would bring to you folks.
There must have been some thought as what would replace that standardization of achievement before this was brought for a vote. Would that already be in place somewhere? Not that you would particularly have that information, but somebody must.
The ballot question was just on the elimination of it as a graduation requirement.
Sure.
The group that was driving that initiative and, did a fine job of getting the requisite signatures and having an awareness campaign.
Yep.
I don't think they really had a thought
Step
about
two.
what happens next. I think we are very interested in making sure, right, that when we give a diploma to a student, that it is saying something to their future employer, to if they're joining the armed services, if they're going on to higher education, that we are certifying that a graduate of this school does in fact have these very important skills. And we're going to take a look at like the Mass Core requirements already, take a look at our program of studies, develop a plan. I mean, we have a plan in draft form. It's really, you have to be able to demonstrate proficiency in literacy, numeracy, scientific concepts. We're working on it.
So does that translate to a particular grade? I mean, when I graduated in the dark ages, it was just, your classes, you had a B average, an A average, et cetera.
So it's creating a program of studies that, every student has to go through. I mean, you would make considerations, modifications, of course, for special education students or, non-native English speakers. But you basically say, for a student to get a diploma from this institution, they have to complete this course of study. So, you have to take in English every year, for example. You have to take math for 3 of the 4 years. You have to, there's science requirements that you have to take. So we identify like what it is that you need to do to receive your diploma, that you pass the coursework.
Okay, thank you.
And that the curriculum being delivered in the classes identified is synced up with the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks.
Okay, thanks.
So graduation requirements, I think, would probably be a good presentation for next year. Yes,
Mr. Messer, through the chair, I did see that the state was doing one of those listening tours, that the state, obviously the state is going to have fairly serious input into what a Massachusetts diploma said, and unfortunately I found out about it too late to go, so it would have been interesting.
All right. Ms. Torres, and just to try to, the agenda item is specifically to try to discuss topics. I'm not one to try to discourage any discussion or questioning, but we definitely want to make sure that, we're staying on these agenda items moving forward, and we're just trying to get some ideas. And if any questions arise thereafter, we can definitely bring it up during potentially the next agenda item. So, do you have any ideas or suggestions for topics?
Yeah, so in between this timeline and is there any plans on building restoration, on maintenance to the schools in between? Any plans that you that the school will sit down and kind of plan while the children are out of school for any repairs or maintenance that you guys have in mind? Is there a timeline?
There is not. So as you're aware, I mean, we have critical needs across all of the buildings in the district. The level of need varies from building to building. We have had, conversations with our partners on the municipal government side. And I know that they wanted to get the new fire station project all buttoned up, and they've done so. And I look forward to re-engaging with them in the school building stuff at a date to be determined soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm here to support it, if
Thank you.
anything on that. And then second would be after, between the times of October when we get the enrollment data, maybe, see, how many more assistants there'll need to be as far as adding a Creole learning, for English learning students, and seeing, how many students are in need of, that speak only Creole, that, to see if, we can get some.
Yeah, we
more.
are seeing an uptick in
Yeah,
that student
awesome,
profile.
awesome. That was all I had.
Great.
Thank you.
Ms. Dela Cruz Davila.
Well, she took one of mine. I was going to ask for like a facility safety meeting, just because of the things happening in some of our schools. I also wrote down like student wellness and mental health strategies. And then, of course, family and community engagement, as I mentioned prior, that I think that's a huge thing with our community, the building of the trust and things like that, and I'm sure they would love to see a presentation about what you guys are doing to engage them.
Sure.
Ms. Davison?
Yes, so I would like, maybe at the beginning-ish of the year, kind of going along with what Carla said about mental health, a presentation from the CARES program, and maybe like an update on how like this first year went, any changes that are going to be made. I know that they were adding the sensory room, I think, this spring. So an update on that, I think, would be nice. Also a presentation from High Roads, which I had mentioned when we went to visit with them. I think that would be important for the public to have a better understanding of what that program is, what it's supposed to offer, as well as an update on this first year.
Sure.
And then the last thing would be, I don't know if this is necessarily like a specific topic, but adding in a student representative back on the seat with us to provide updates from the students. So I guess that would be its own topic on anything related to student activities.
Great.
I have no input of topics to add. I think everyone has mentioned several that I had thought of. I just like to say with the topics Mr. William presented, for example, in June, closing activities, I would just suggest maybe having, let's say if the topic is closing activity, maybe May and not in June, because the closing is in June. So we would want to know what is happening prior time.
So typically, at least from my experience, they wait until after graduation, because a lot of those, the numbers will be completely up to date as far as student data, graduation rates, foreseeable staffing vacancies, and just staffing vacancies in general. The budget also winds down because it has to be in the budget should be closed by June 30th. That's when the fiscal year ends. So all of those numbers will kind of be more towards their end result in June. Whereas having it 6 weeks forward, you can have a lot of varying factors that could give us an inaccurate representation of how the closing would go. Plus, typically, our school committee meeting happens after the election, so schools are closed. So if there are any events or anything that had occurred, or anything like, if there's different activities throughout the summer that the school districts are offering and they know it's concrete starting in a certain time, typically that's what we see in June. And that was one of the few presentations that we got annually, have been for the better part of the last 6 years. But I can understand where that would come from, to try to see good, as far as like why do it in May, because June everybody's kind of just bailing.
Well, understanding that budget, and there are certain topics that do and should be presented in the month of June, I was just suggesting, so as Mr. Williams suggested, July, summer planning, right? We're planning in July for summer. I don't know if I'm misinterpreting like the topic. So in July, we're going to come second Tuesday. We will start this conversation. Is this July for the future July, or is this the current July? As in
So,
planning-wise.
like the cadence of a school year, again, in my experience, is school wraps up usually middle to late June. And what happens when all the kids leave and all the teachers leave for the summer is the administrative leadership team huddles up, debriefs on the school year, what went well, what didn't, what benchmarks do we hit, where do we fall short. We begin to think about our goal setting for the next school year. And we also check in with all the building level leaders. What do your vacancies look like? What are we looking to hire over the summer? And we develop a strategy for doing that and for putting the PD plan together, because then around July 4th, right, people kind of scatter to the wind and people take vacations at different times. So at the end of June, we really have a very deliberate approach to what is it that we need to accomplish between now and August. So the administrative team will reconvene at the very beginning of August and finalize and begin to execute the plan. And then typically in the second week of August, we begin to welcome the new teachers in for the Institute.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all.
I think we got quite a good bit of topics out of this. If I may make a suggestion also, when we do if we do staffing updates, I would like personally to see staffing update more detailed with the athletic department, and as far as what a plan is too during the summer planning. This town has had has a heritage of bleeding its high school sports team through and through.
I think that's a good thing.
It is, and the pride and joy is football, has been, although we do have a lot of success through our athletics in the high school, both through men and women, for the girls and boys, through basketball, volleyball, track and field, cheerleading. We have seen a lot of success over the years, but I think the community wants the Southbridge High Pioneers to be the best at everything. So I do think it would be beneficial for the community to at some point also discuss what the plan is with the athletic department and what the goals are, and what the expectations are realistically, and and potentially discussion of parent volunteers as far as further community engagement, making the suggestion, parent volunteers with athletics. I know when I was in Georgia, when I graduated high school, there was an avenue through Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. After I graduated, I came back for 2 seasons and was what they considered a lay coach. So I was that way I was covered by insurance. I was at least there for a salary total of $0.00. But I was able to ride with the team to be able to go to different events, and I was able to coach be on campus after school hours to help coach. So if there are avenues available to us there, maybe, and I'm sure a lot of Pioneer alumni wouldn't mind volunteering and helping in various different sports if the opportunity was open. So I do think as far as community engagement, looking at what avenues we can engage with parents to get involved with the sports, via either coaching or volunteering with the athletic department itself, I think would also help build, like to Ms. Carla's point, building the trust within the community. And I think sports, you made the mention you're a Boston sports guy, and we're all kind of heartbroken right now with the Celtics.
I don't think Jason Tatum's going to come coach for us. But.
No, you never know. But, but I think that as far as I think that's a neutral ground with the kids. We want to see our student athletes succeed. We want to see them, be able to celebrate in victory and achieve that, because it is hard work to be successful in high school athletics, because the degree that you have to maintain your GPA and be able to perform on the court or on the field is different. So I think involving parents with that, I think is also, like I said, neutral ground where everybody kind of wins. The school sees more parental engagement within the district, and you also, have the benefit of, being completely transparent and getting the community to rally around our sports. I think is pretty, that's just my suggestion as far as updates with the athletics department. In that staffing as well, because typically we review teachers and admin, but I would love to see additional updates with staffing in the athletic department and goal setting moving forward as the meeting topics go.
Sure. So I think all of our co-curricular offerings, athletic and otherwise, are great things to talk with the community about. I do want to caution you on a few things. One, the way coaching goes, even if we have coaches, and we do, that coach for a number of years in the same program, the jobs, the stipend positions as part of a collective bargaining agreement are posted year to year, right? So I would tell you, right, in the summer, we have no confirmed coaches for the upcoming year. What we do in the late summer is we drill down on making sure that the fall coaches are in place, and then we stay one season ahead. So halfway through the fall season, we'll make sure that we shore up the winter coaches, and then halfway through the winter, we'll shore up the spring coaches. So just that you're aware that is the cadence of how that goes. But I will talk to the athletic director about a presentation and some of your suggestions around volunteer participation.
Awesome.
If I may, Frank, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce your last name correctly.
Kabinski.
I did want to clarify a remark I made earlier. So we do have graduation requirements currently in place, to be clear. Under the MCAS model, right, you have the local graduation requirement and then the MCAS requirement, right? So local requirement is still in place around, we expect a student to complete this program of studies with passing grades to receive their diploma. It's just the standardized test component is gone now, and we're all trying to decide what, if anything, that piece looks like moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other topics that popped into their head while I was rambling about student athletics? All right, I think we'll just get these bundled together, and then, moving forward, school committee will meet, and the chair and the vice chair will meet and determine the meeting schedule with the superintendent and the receiver, and get everything moving forward.
Look forward to it, and I thank you guys for the suggestions. They're great ideas.
Agenda item number 5, discussion of progress meeting expectations as outlined in the DESI plan to build school committee capacity. I started over there last time, I started over here last time, so Ms. Shea, you will lead us off. No, I started with Ms. Norma last time, so.
Okay.
Let's not argue.
I went to the budget hearing with the Education, Health, and Human Services Subcommittee, and I was brought home to the fact that over and over and over again, we keep hearing the same thing. We have too many administrators. They're too expensive. And I know that our team is working very hard and doing what needs to be done. I wanted to be able to take out the job descriptions and say, here, this is what they're doing, this is why we need them. And then I thought, I really haven't seen them in a long time. And in the last month, we've had major changes in our administrative team. So I've asked Bill if he could, in the early fall, give us some job descriptions of particularly the administrative team. I think we have all pretty good idea what a fourth grade teacher is expected to do. But that we can show that the administrators that we've hired and are continuing to hire are doing the job that is needed to help our students. Thank you.
Mr. Kapinski.
I left a message with our new receiver's office to schedule an appointment, just to pop in and say hi at some point, hopefully later afternoon. I don't take too much time off from work, but see how late you're there.
We can make that happen.
All right.
Linda on my team is out this week, but she'll follow up with you early next week. We'll
Great.
get an appointment on the books.
Thank you.
Ms. Torres?
Okay, so myself and Brittany did a school visit to West Street Elementary, and I just wanted to, say thank you to Mrs. Stella for taking the time and Bill for accommodating us and doing the tour and visit. The students had smiles for miles, which was great to see. They were all engaged with the teachers when we did some classroom visits. It was great to see, how great and maintained the school is as far as cleanliness and a positive, vibrant environment. Lots of great positive affirmations around, and yeah, it was great to see and see it for yourself as well. And I liked how they utilized extra spaces in the school for the Starbucks cafe and a wilderness theme, so students can, have a break, go study, regroup. I thought that was fantastic. Also a great job, for the admin on focusing and still continuing to pivot the PBIS, which is a positive behavioral intervention and support. The curriculum overview is great, using, Wonders, iReady, and giving an incentive to students to earn points based on expectations and attendance. Great reading support, dual language program, and great special education services as well. I also wanted to, let the parents and community know that registrations are open currently for 21st Century Summer Program to 5th grades through June 30th to August 1st. You can go on the website and you can get the link to register. We also took a trip to the academy. That was very great as well. It was able to, it was great to have the opportunity to get familiarized with staff, understand the programs being offered there for children that need additional support and guidance to succeed. I would like to propose work on future building improvements for our Southbridge Academy, which thank you, Bill, for also helping, informing us that you guys are in the progress of, working on that. And, just continuing to maintain a well and clean environment for all of our students here. Overall, it was a wonderful experience. I look forward to conducting more school visits. Norma and I are scheduled to visit the high school and middle school on Monday, May 19th. And yeah, just pretty much continuing with moving forward with the DESI Phase 2. That's currently in progress, and working with committee members, admin, teachers, parents, and guardians to continue supporting the CPAC program, also, LPAC as well for English learners, and yeah, and just, that's pretty much.
Because I know you two battle on which you guys want to share, so I don't know if that had been worked out yet.
Have separate
Oh,
tonight.
awesome.
So we did the transition meeting with, with Dr. Villar and Bill and Andrew, me, and Juan. We also had a meeting with Rep. Marcy, and at that time, so I'm giving from the last month that I missed.
Because you were not here.
Because I was not here, so.
Okay.
So this is going a little way back. And at that time, I just wanted to thank both Senator Fatman and Rep. Marcy for their support. They have been very supportive with us and have been meeting with us, so I just wanted to thank them. I've been going to monthly school board meetings as part of my fellowship program, and last month we did models, governance models and policy making. So I'm learning a lot of different things. And as I mentioned, we've been meeting with Juan, our meetings with Bill now. I did attend the open meeting law training on 429. Let's see, I did also attend the EHS meeting. I've been attending the CPAC meetings with Brittany. And I put it here, congrats to Bill and Judy for their new roles. And happy to be working with both of them. And I think that's everything I have. And I already finished all the schools. Thanks.
Member Davis.
Yes, so like Maria said, I went with her and I finished up my last 2 school visits at West Street and the Academy. I second everything that Maria said. It was a great visit. I will say I think one downfall of the visit at West Street was she had mentioned that there's a corner that was underneath the stairs where counselors will come in and talk to students. And as somebody who's a social worker and does therapy, I personally just didn't appreciate that because it doesn't allow for privacy if you're going to be talking about like feelings and things like that. So I think it's just something for us to keep in mind as we move forward and talk about like the building project and stuff like that, making sure that there's enough space for all the services that are needed. But other than that, I thought it was a great visit. Everybody seemed happy, especially the principal, which I've seen throughout all of the schools. All of the teachers and principals that we've met with have been saying nothing but positive reviews and seem to really enjoy what they're doing. So I thought that was great. The staff at the Academy, also same thing. They were willing to answer all of our questions, gave us a great visit. So I appreciated that. I went with Norma to the Eastford Road Art Show. I think that was like sometime in April. It was great to see all of the parent turnout for that, looking at the kids' artwork and things. I thought that was great. I had a meeting with Mr. Metzger talking about the CPAC, specifically talking about how we can collaborate in the future. We did have a community member who reached out and sent us information about the Apple Institute. And so upon talking with Mr. Metzger and Juan about that, we did decide to put that off until next year just due to all the staffing changes and the tight turnaround for us to apply. But I think it's something that will be great for the district, and I look forward to working with Bill and identifying some staff that we can get engaged with that, as well as other community parents and leaders. We did have a CPAC meeting last night where Dr. Ward from the CARES program did attend. However, we did not have any parent engagement, so we did not move forward with the presentation. However, she is willing to meet with us again in the fall when the CPAC meetings pick back up to continue the presentation. Karen, who is the special education director, did attend last night as well, and she spoke with the 2 co-chairs about just some different ideas for parent engagement, which we also did get from Dr. Ward, so we look forward to putting some of those things into practice. So at some of the upcoming events like Family Fun Day, the back to school event that the Wellstorm puts on, keep an eye out for the CPAC table that will be there representing to just pass out information. I think a lot of the community doesn't understand what the CPAC is or what it offers, so I think that will be a great way to kind of get that out there. So I look forward to seeing them there. Carla and I went to what was supposed to be the softball game, but that got canceled. But we were able to see the baseball game and the tennis game going on at the same time. We talked with some parents, passed out some CPAC flyers again, kind of going out in the community. I also attended the open meeting law training. I attended town council meetings and the EHS meeting as well on the budget. And I also went and saw the middle high school play for Matilda. I thought they did a phenomenal job for people who are so young, being able to go out in front of almost a full auditorium and sing and act. I thought they did an amazing job. And that is all I have.
And rounding out with Ms. Norma.
So, excuse me, in the past 30 days, I had actually attended the art show in Eastford Road School with Brittany, as she had stated. I thought the support from the parents was amazing. As I've shared, I've been in the a resident in the community for over 20 years, and I have a parent of 4 children, and my eldest is 24, my youngest is 5, so I'm like restarting like the whole 12 years, and just to see the support, it was a packed school. I was so amazed, because my last time in Eastford Road School was about 8 to 9 years ago. So seeing that support and the outcome was amazing to me. I was also, I attended, some town council meeting, I believe it's the EHS meeting. I was able to schedule my 4 last school visits for the month of May, so I will be visiting Charlton and Eastford Road School tomorrow, and on the 19th with Maria. I do plan to send Bill an email to do an introduction of myself and just to brief on goals for 2026 and future plans. I think that's all I have.
All right. So since our last meeting, we've continuously met with Dr. Rodriguez, our DESE representative. We most recently discussed the outlines for Phase 2. We do have a table and a breakdown. There's going to be some other traditional resources as well. Dr. Rodriguez is going to get that out to us. I did try to get the table, but just kind of the way it was sent, it's not really being able to be emailed out to you guys. I couldn't convert it. I think it was just because it was attached to a meeting invite. So look for that in the email soon in the coming weeks on what we are going to need to do to close out Phase 2. I also was at the EHS meeting. I presented with Mr. Metzger when he presented the budget to EHS. Being honest, just so that the public is aware, for those that may not have seen it, it was to the Education and Human Services Subcommittee referred the budget to the Town Council 2-1 unfavorably. There was a lot of points of contention regarding the administration and the too many administrators. And I did want to mention one point that I had made at that meeting in my field. When there's a store, I'm a mechanic in an automotive. When you have a store that is extremely struggling, you bring a lot of people in to focus on certain areas and topics. But as we transition to local governance and the performance of our students and the culture and climate within the school continues to build up, we'll see a lot of those administrative positions start to dissipate. There's already been cuts to central office that was presented to EHS. Ms. Shea, Ms. Davidson, Ms. De La Cruz Davila, and Ms. Tisnick were all in attendance, so to see a quorum of the school committee members supporting the superintendent as he presented his budget, I think goes to show that we're working in lockstep with Mr. Metzger moving forward, especially looking to FY26, so I do appreciate everyone that was able to arrive. And I did speak with Town Council Vice Chair Montigny after the meeting. We do have full intention on setting up an individual one-on-one meeting. We have been trying to work with it, but tried to work this meeting over the last month and a half, 2 months. Unfortunately, life has gotten in the way for both of us. But we have been in communication, and we will continue to try to lock down a date. that is pretty much the only things from me. Agenda item 6 would be our next regularly scheduled meeting. This will be the last meeting of FY '25. Stepping in lockstep with precedent, that meeting is held 1 week after the town election, because the second Tuesday of June is Southbridge's election day, where the election polls are open till 8. So we conduct our meeting the following week thereafter, so that way the public can attend instead of trying to rush to attend and then vote before the time limit. So that will be Tuesday, June 17th, 7 PM, council chambers, and that will absolve the end of FY '25. Yes.
Can you just provide the public with the date for next week's meeting, for the mock meeting?
Yes, also, the school committee will be conducting a mock meeting in conjunction with town council, the town council chairman and the town manager. That is going to be Tuesday, the 20th at 6 PM. And so if you would like to come observe and learn how, essentially, we're going to be run through how to conduct a school committee meeting, making sure, and a review of Robert's Rules of Order with 2 people that have been in our town government for quite some time, who are very familiar with Robert's Rules of Order. So it's going to be a great learning experience for everybody, and also is one of the requirements that we need to continue to move through Phase 2. So that meeting will be conducted here. I believe we're doing that in council chambers?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that will also be in council chambers. I think that will do it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All of those in favor? Any opposed? It is unanimous of all present. This meeting is adjourned at 8:07.